Michigan Out of Doors Online is brought to you in part by Red Wing Shoes, located in the shops at Centerpoint in Grand Rapids at the corner of 28th Street and the Beltline. The store has everything you need for the worksite or the woods. Stop in or check them out online at redwingshoes.com. And by Mr. Muskie Charters, offering full-service guided fishing trips for walleye, muskie, bass, and sturgeon on Lake St. Clair and the Detroit and St. Clair rivers. Booking information is online at mrmuskiecharters.com.
Hey everyone, welcome to Michigan Out of Doors. I'm Jenny Olson-Silik, and we've got an exciting show for you this week. We're going to do something we don't normally do here on the show. We are going to head outside of Michigan. Now, it's just for a little bit. We're going to show you a very special group that is helping equip teachers with the ability to bring outdoor education into their classrooms. You won't want to miss that. And Jimmy's off on an adventure too this week.
Well, that's right, Jenny. We do have a really cool story from northern Michigan. As you can see, I'm right behind a beautiful Michigan bull, just shot about, half hour or so ago. All the guys are getting the truck ready to come in here. It's a heck of a story. You won't want to miss it. Lots of good stuff on this week's show. You stay tuned. I'm Jimmy Gretzinger. It's time for Michigan Out of Doors.
From the first spring rains to the soft summer breeze, dancing on the pine forest floor, the autumn colors catch your eyes. Here come the crystal winter skies. It's Michigan out of doors.
What a beautiful day in the woods.
Someday our children all will see this is their finest legacy, the wonder and the love of Michigan. As the wind comes whispering through the trees, the sweet smell of nature's in the air. From the Great Lakes to the quiet stream, shining like a sportsman's dream, it's a love of Michigan we all share.
Michigan Out of Doors is presented by Country Smokehouse, a sportsman's meat processor and Michigan destination since 1988. Offers a variety of homemade smoked meats and Michigan-made products in-store and online. The Country Smokehouse features an outdoor barbecue and bar. Details at countrysmokehouse.com. By G5 Outdoors, makers of the Quest and Prime bows, manufactured and designed in Memphis, Michigan. G5 offers a line of archery bows, broadheads, and accessories. On the web at g5outdoors.com. By Hemisphere Design Works, a Muskegon manufacturer of sportsman's outdoor products for over 30 years, featuring the Terrain line of hard-sided hunting blinds designed for quick setup and removal with quiet operation. For more information and other products, hemispheredesignworks.com.
Soaking in the rich tradition of Michigan hunting for over 30 years, Vanguard is proud to sponsor our friends at Michigan Out of Doors TV.
Joe, how important are trail cams when you're doing this elk stuff?
They do a lot of legwork that we don't have to do. I mean, they basically tell us where they're at, and
Okay.
we go from there. Got a lot of them out. Takes a lot of time.
Yeah, how much ground do you guys cover typically? A lot, right?
Yeah, probably thousands of acres really, between the state that we check and private property.
Trail cams have not only changed deer hunting here in Michigan, but the elk hunt as well. Now, I've hunted with some of these guides before, and they know their stuff. Joe Ferguson and Dan Connell work together with a handful of other guides in the area to make for a great team. Opening morning was upon us, and Gary Hicks from Manitou Beach, just south of Jackson, was itching to go. It's a hunt that, like most of us, he never thought would happen.
I actually got it in the mail. I tried to check online and had computer problems, and then all of a sudden it came in the mail and a DNR envelope, and shocking.
Wow.
I handed it to my wife to say, is this real? Did I really get one? So it was super.
Well, super is one way to describe it for sure. And speaking of super, we finally had a bull in sight, close to 300 yards away and moving into cover. We only had a few seconds to judge the size, and as we moved a bit closer, we found two smaller bulls along the way. Well, as quick as that was about it for the day. The temps got too hot to hunt, so we did the next best thing and got lunch at J&B's in the big town of Vienna. Later that night, one of the guides did find a nice cow for Bob Lytle.
Then I heard a
a bull scream back here in the woods, and then shortly after that I had 8 more cows and calves run into the field, and then I had a chance to see which ones were which, you know, size wise, and this one gave me a good shot, so I picked this one out, and I took one shot, and it just stood there, and the other ones kind of came around by it, and I kept my eye on it because I didn't want to get mixed up. And then the other ones kind of moved off a little bit, and this one just stood there, so I knew I knew this was the one, obviously. So once they were all in the middle of the field, she picked her head up, and I took a neck shot, and she stumbled over behind this pine tree and went down.
Well, congratulations, young man.
Thank you very much.
Woo.
These are big critters, and it's all you can do with 4 guys to move a cow elk, let alone a big bull. These animals have a big impact on the deer hunting up here as well. The landowners know that for sure.
Yeah, I've heard 4 to 5 times as much as deer, so yes, but you see them all the time, don't you?
And then you see them constantly through deer season pretty much? Or
Not too much. It starts to taper off right around deer season, which is good for the deer hunters.
Yeah. Well, thanks for letting these guys come hunt your property.
All right, thank you.
I'll try to get you a better shirt for next time.
Well, it was a lot of fun to celebrate with all the guys, but our fun was only starting as we heard a bugle in the distance on morning number 2. Well, we were on the move, trying to cut the distance to the bugling bull. Not knowing exactly where it was, we moved in and spotted him in a field through the timber. It was now time to make a quick decision. Now, if you didn't quite catch that, here it is again. Gary had a hole to shoot through, and when the bull presented the shot at about 200 to 225 yards, Gary squeezed one off. The cows moved off a bit, the bull walked into the woods, and it's often hard to tell if a bull is hit. So we waited a bit, and as the cows moved off, we went up to start looking for blood, or the downed bull. We were all pretty excited and a little nervous.
Oh. Right there, Gary. Right over there.
Congratulations, bud. 5 years I've waited for this. Thank you.
Well, Gary, that was not a gimme shot there, buddy.
Oh, not at all. A couple of trips to Wyoming and this one to Michigan, and this one worked. So happy, right?
That's a beautiful bull. That's a beautiful bull.
Let's go get our hands on him.
Oh.
Nice job. What a bull.
Oh, he didn't go far.
What a bull.
Holy moly, look at that
What
thing.
a bull.
Look at that thing. Wow.
What a bull.
Points all over the place.
Ooh.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 7 by 7. Think that'll do?
Michigan bull.
Oh man.
He's a big body too. Real big body. That's
What
a
Well, I must have hit him. He didn't go far.
that is a hog of a bull.
Well, we got squat for footage of the kill, but that's just the way it goes. You
We
did a great
got
job.
a happy hunter though.
We couldn't really get much closer to the field there, could we?
No,
No.
Well, we pulled in this morning and we heard him bugle shortly after,
Yeah.
and so then I knew right where he was. So, but I wasn't sure if he was in the woods or out in the field, and luckily he stood right out in the field for you.
Probably what? 75
close.
yards of woods and
75 yards of woods, yeah, another 125 or so. But yeah,
What a bull. The excitement, the tension, the not knowing about the shot, all the emotions of a hunt like this, well, they were on full display. Then, what a relief as we found Gary's dandy bull. The calls were made, the crew was coming in to help load, the DNR came in to check the animal, as is required for each animal taken. This hunt is just such a special thing we have as Michiganders. Yes, very few of us will know the feeling of notching a tag here in Michigan, but some of you will. And let me just say this. The woods of the Northeast Lower Peninsula is simply a place, well, where dreams come true. Here in Michigan's Out of Doors.
In this next story, we're headed to Wyoming. I actually tagged along with a teacher from Michigan over the summer to take a look at what Safari Club International Foundation is doing to help equip teachers with the ability to teach their students all about outdoor education. When the Detroit chapter of Safari Club International called Cindy Wisman last spring to tell her they'd like to send her to the American Wilderness Leadership School in Wyoming, she jumped at the chance. The generous chapter also said they'd like me to join Cindy on her journey last month. She's a high school art teacher in St. Clair, Michigan, and couldn't wait to take part in the course. This is an amazing opportunity for teachers across the country.
So the ALLS program, or the American Wilderness Leadership School, is located in the Gravant Mountains, 30 miles south of Jackson, Wyoming. It's a 33.6 acre facility where we do 8-day professional development training programs for educators who come from all over the country. Our primary focus is to teach them about conservation and the role that hunting plays in conservation. So while it's run and overseen by Safari Club International, who is a hunting conservation organization, our main focus and goal is to teach them about hunting and how it works with conservation, and for them to understand that so they can take it back and use it in the classroom to teach their students about the same thing.
So here at the ALLS workshop, teachers become students for a week. A good portion of the program happens right here at camp. Teachers spend time every day, both outdoors and in the classroom, where lots of information is doled out in a concentrated form over a short period of time. Safari Club International and its foundation are passionate about teaching our teachers.
Well, Safari Club International Foundation and Safari Club International, both organizations, feel it's very important to have educators learn about conservation and the role that hunting plays in it, because what we're finding in today's society is that we're having less kids getting engaged in the outdoors, whether it be in hunting or other outdoor activities. And so they feel it's important for educators to be able to take back curriculum, materials, and information to teach the kids, to get them engaged in the outdoors, and hopefully possibly then in a shooting sport or a hunting activity as they mature and grow up. We're finding that more and more kids are coming from families that quite honestly aren't coming from that heritage or tradition that we so often see in hunting, where it comes from a family background. And so with more and more people living in a non-rural setting today, in an urban suburban society, Safari Club International Foundation sees the importance of wanting to be able to teach educators, because they're with those kids 180, 189 days a year, and what a great opportunity for them to be able to expose the kids to this types of thing and get them outdoors, engaged in the outside atmosphere that we have. What a wonderful classroom to be able to teach in outside the four walls that they so often get stuck in today.
It's pretty neat to see exactly how the ALLS program arms teachers with the tools to teach their kids many different outdoor-related lessons, no matter what type of class or age of students they have.
Well, a big part of our program is, I mentioned that our educators come from all of the United States. What I didn't mention is that they come from all sorts of disciplines and backgrounds. So we have high school administrators, we have state agency people, we have educators who teach art, we have teachers who teach math, English, social studies, PE, whatever it is. We bring them together so that they can learn as a community about how to use conservation in what they teach in the classroom. There's so many different ways you can connect conservation to whatever you're teaching, whether it be art or whether it be social studies. It does not have to be science. And while we have a lot of science teachers, we do have a lot of educators from different disciplines and backgrounds come to partake in the program so they can take that back with them.
Our group of teachers in this last session of the year included some who have hunted and fished all their lives and some who had never been exposed to anything like this. And in the end, they all bring something unique to this ALLS experience.
We start off by having the educators come in. They arrive either by vehicle or from the airport, where we pick them up, bring them out to our facility out in the Gravant Mountains, and we start them off with an introduction to curriculum materials and what we're going to be doing. And then from there, we branch off into teaching them ecology, land ecology and water ecology, along with outdoor survival. We teach them some shooting sports, introduction to firearms, by teaching them about shotguns and rifles, but we also introduce them to National Archery Schools program so they can go back and become a certified archery instructor in their school. We teach them how to tie flies so they can use that as an extension of stream ecology, and then we take them on a series of field trips. Today we're in Pinedale. Tomorrow we're headed off to Jackson, and we culminate the week by taking them on a whitewater rafting trip down the Snake River as a way of saying thanks for putting in the hard work and the dedication to the time that they do while they're here. Along with the activity programming that they get while they're here, they also have the opportunity to take this for up to 4 graduate credits from Colorado State University, or they get up to 85 continuing ed units for going through the program. So they have an opportunity to use this towards a relicensure for their teaching in their individual states.
There were teachers here from all over the country, and what was so fun to see was how they all contributed with their own knowledge and expertise to each project they tackled out here in Wyoming. For sure, they were excited about the classroom materials they received to use back home, but they all rolled up their sleeves and dug into the hands-on stuff too.
All of the different things that I've learned, I'm really excited to take back to my classroom. The enthusiasm here is just over the top, and it gives all of the teachers here a chance to realize there's a lot of creative ways to incorporate what we've learned here into the curriculum. And it gets creative and keeps kids engaged and takes them a little bit out of their comfort zone, outside of the box, and I just think it's awesome. The world around us is so important, nature, and the way it contributes to society.
We switched gears a lot out here and covered a variety of topics every day. Most everyone here encountered something new that they learned about.
What I found really interesting was that it wasn't a lot about hunting, it was more about conservation, which I found very interesting because so many people think that that's what it's about. But I really enjoyed the shotgun and shooting clay pigeons. That was one of my favorite things.
Every educator here had some help with tuition and travel to get them here. Most all participants were sponsored either by the Safari Club Foundation or by one of their local SCI chapters. As Michiganders, Cindy and I were proud to see the presence that our Michigan chapters have here in Wyoming at the Alls Camp.
The Detroit chapter of Safari Club International was just absolutely wonderful. I was so impressed by the way that they brought me into their program and allowed me to be able to do something like this. Sponsoring me was just out of this world and a chance of a lifetime.
For any educators interested in attending, Todd says it's easy to apply.
Well, if you're interested in wanting to come to the American Wilderness Leadership School, we hold 6 sessions every summer, and we have applications on our website. The application is there. It's a downloadable PDF, so you can go ahead, download it, fill it out, and submit it to the address that's located on the application. We have sponsorships available that'll cover the cost of the $900 tuition, along with a travel stipend that will help defray the cost. We also have over 150 SCI chapters located across the United States and Canada who are more than willing to sponsor an educator. So if you're interested, possibly locate an SCI chapter in your area or contact our office in Tucson for more information.
Everyone here was having a blast learning new things.
I'm Liesl Batdorf, and I teach in Richland, Washington, and I teach 5th grade. I think it's great. I shot a handgun for the first time, I tied flies for the first time, and learning a lot about conservation and how hunters and different organizations work on conservation, and so it's a really good program so far.
We were only halfway through our week, and the teachers were tackling more new activities and lessons around every corner, from sun up to sundown.
The whole idea is to get teachers out there teaching kids about nature and showing them that there's a lot more out there than just being on a computer or on their phone or Googling things. Kids were brought right back into the old days where they would go around and explore.
While old Deadeye Cindy was at the rifle range, I visited with other group members who were at other stations around camp. The general consensus here among the educators was the Alls program is amazing.
Kevin Holliday, and I'm from Santa Fe, New Mexico, and I'm with New Mexico Department of Game and Fish.
Okay, what do you think about the Alls program?
It's been wonderful so far. It's enthusiastic instructors and lots of learning from hands-on with aquatic insects in the stream, connecting that with fly tying, and then the hand-eye coordination of archery and rifle and shotgun. So it's been a lot of fun. And some of the best has been learning from other educators around the country about ways to teach these kind of skills. So,
One of the things that makes ALLS such a unique program is the amount of hands-on instruction that these educators receive. That has a huge impact on the number of teachers who will be more comfortable bringing these activities back to their classrooms.
I think it's fantastic. It's a great opportunity for educators to come to, for most of them, a different place, a different ecosystem, and to try out new kinds of sports and have meet some people from around the country. Great time all around. Whenever I can, I like to include ecology. Even though I'm an English teacher, try to get kids to get outside and know the flora and fauna of their neighborhood so that hopefully they will respect it and come to love it and protect it.
Speaking of protecting the environment, we had a chance to take a field trip to Pinedale, Wyoming to learn more about managing public land.
So today when we were here in Pinedale, we were out on what's called the Mesa. It's located overlooking the second largest natural gas anticline in the United States, the Pinedale Anticline. And so while we were there, the Wyoming Game and Fish met with us and they talked to us about how they do conservation on the land and how things such as gas drilling can have an impact on some of the conservation they're trying to do. While we were there, we also spoke to the participants about the Bureau of Land Management, who oversees all that land, and what is their role and responsibility as a federal agent to take care of the land on behalf of the people in the country with regards to gas drilling, multiple use, grazing, all those different things that BLM land is often used for. And so we're wanting them to get an idea and sense of how they each have conservation issues in their own state. How do they get their kids engaged in that process to be a part of it and get critically thinking about how it is that they are going to make decisions about the future of what happens to our resources.
The educators here were definitely coming up with new and exciting ways to teach their students about land management and conservation.
ALLS provided me with a lot of different lesson plans and ideas to incorporate into my classroom. And what I found interesting was that not only was I teaching art in my area, but also a little bit of math, a little bit of writing, and just really bringing all of those things together and having a hands-on experience.
Another field trip happened in Jackson Hole at the Visitor Center and Elk Refuge to study the elk population.
Well, you know, it's kind of interesting. When they all come here, they show up as individuals coming from all over the country. And while some of them may know each other because they're colleagues or they're coming together from the same school, what I always tell them is that while you start off as individual learners, you're going to leave as a community of learners, which is really what we want to advocate to them, because we want them to realize they're not on an island by themselves. There are educators from all over the country that they can call upon to take advantage of all the expertise that's there. You know, everybody from everywhere comes together and they leave as this community. Many of them maintain relationships for many years after they've gone through the program, working with each other in a variety of different ways to help teach kids about conservation.
On our very last day in Wyoming, we were treated to a rafting trip down the Snake River, and then back at camp, the crew learned some new games to show their students at home. I caught up with Cindy last week to see how she's using her new material in the classroom.
When we were in Wyoming, we played this game called Oh Deer, and I found it really interesting because it made you really think about deer and the population and really any animal that there is out there and the different things that affect the population. So this game, Oh Deer, I think is going to really help them to see, you know, what I'm speaking about, because it's not just reading out of a textbook or me talking, it's actually them getting up, moving around, and charting the results, which is really neat to actually see as well, the population going from being up here, very abundant, to plummeting because of some, you know, factor that might have contributed to that.
Even in her art class, Cindy feels it's crucial to introduce students to their outdoor environment and all of the factors that affect it.
Well, I think it's important, and it goes right back to that 7% of the amount of time that you spend in your life outside, and this might be the only time that they, you know, get a chance to learn a little bit about animals and ecology in the art class.
Brendan Watson is one of Cindy's students, and he thinks it's a great thing she's doing in her art classes. What do you think of Mrs. Westman's art class?
I love her. I've had her, this is my second year having her, and she's my favorite teacher.
What do you like about it?
Just how she brings nature into the class, and most kids don't get to be involved with nature.
They had to go out and collect things from nature. They brought in bags and they pressed their leaves and books so that they would be nice and dry and flat, and that way they would be able to glue the stuff down to the frame, and I'm really excited about it. I can't wait to show you exactly what my kids have done.
In order to complete their ALS-inspired art projects, Cindy's students collected items from nature and then chose a mammal, reptile, or amphibian to study. Once they learned some details about their subject, they painted a background habitat, then used stones to build the wildlife, and their objects from nature to create the foreground. There are some pretty creative works of art here. Special thanks to all the staff at the ALS camp in Wyoming, to the Detroit chapter of Safari Club here in Michigan, and to Cindy Wisman for letting me tag along on her journey beyond the borders of Michigan's out of doors. Thanks for joining us this week for Michigan Out of Doors. Make sure you check us out online next time you get a chance. There are so many ways you can do it. Our website is michiganoutofdoorstv.com. We're on social media on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. So make sure you check us out when you get a chance. You can see where we are and where we're headed next as we hit our fall hunting seasons here on the TV show. Good luck to everybody out there this weekend for the special early deer seasons, and we'll see you right back here next week on your PBS station.
Michigan Out of Doors is presented by Greenstone Farm Credit Services, making recreational land ownership possible across Michigan and northeast Wisconsin. Begin your land financing journey at one of Greenstone's 37 locations or greenstonefcs.com. By the locally owned and operated members of the Michigan Petroleum Association and the National Oil Heat Research Alliance, who provide oil heat with BioHeat, a renewable fuel source designed to benefit the home and the environment. Details on the web at useoilheatmichigan.com. By AnglerQuest Pontoons, a mid-Michigan company building boats for fishermen by fishermen. AnglerQuest Pontoons are designed for comfort and functionality. On the web at anglerquestpontoons.com. Closed captioning provided by Marvo Mineral, makers of Lucky Buck, deer management products including minerals to supplement deer diets year-round to improve health and antler growth.
When I wander far away, a dream stays with me night and day. It's the road that leads to my home state. I am a Michigan man. Changing seasons paint the scene like rainbow trout in a hidden stream. The white-tailed deer in the tall pine trees. I am a Michigan man.